The strongest people you know are falling apart in silence. And nobody notices, not because they hide it well, but because their collapse never looks the way the world expects. It does not happen during chaos. It happens later, quietly. Maybe on the edge of a bed, maybe on a bathroom floor at 2 a.m. What happens next is what psychology calls a silent shutdown. A subtle collapsing inward, like a bridge carrying 1 pound more than it was ever built to hold. No shouting, no tears, just a soft fold. People who have not lived through too much will miss it entirely. But those who have recognized this moment instantly, why does someone who has carried too much look so calm on the outside, yet feel so devastating on the inside? That is where this story begins. By the end, you will discover the 5 hidden patterns beneath the surface, and the 4 steps to finally put the weight down. Here is the first pattern almost everyone misunderstands. People often look at someone who has been through too much and say, "You are so calm, nothing rattles you." But what they are seeing is not calm at all. It is something far more complex. Psychologists call it emotional blunting, but let me explain it in a way that actually makes sense. When the nervous system is overwhelmed for too long, it does not explode. It shuts down. It narrows emotional bandwidth to the bare minimum, the same way a computer goes into low power mode to keep from overheating. You do not stop feeling because you have reached some higher state of awareness. You stop feeling because your mind's capacity has been exceeded. This is why the world feels muted, why joy feels distant, why the things that should upset you barely make a ripple. Your brain is not relaxed. It is protecting you from emotional overload by turning the volume down on everything. And here is what nobody tells you. There is a profound difference between peace and numbness that most people never understand. Peace is an active presence. Numbness is an absence. Peace allows you to feel safely. Numbness keeps you from feeling it all. So if you have ever wondered why your reactions seem delayed, quiet, or strangely flat, it is not a personality flaw. It is your nervous system saying, "Let me hold back your feelings until I am sure it is safe to release them." Calm is chosen. Numbness is survival wearing calm's face, but this leads to something even more hidden. There is a certain kind of maturity people admire. The steady voice, the thoughtful pauses, the way someone can explain their pain without bitterness, without blame, without falling apart. But here is the secret nobody talks about. That maturity was not grown. It was taken. Some people develop wisdom the natural way, through guidance or safety and time. Others develop it because life gave them no soft places to land. Research on adverse childhood experiences reveals that children who grow up in unpredictable environments develop emotional intelligence years ahead of their peers. But that intelligence comes at a cost most people never see. When you grow up navigating emotional chaos, instability, or unpredictable people, you do not mature. You adapt. And adaptation has a different price. You learn to monitor everyone's mood before you understand your own. You learn to comfort adults when you are still a child. You learn to translate silence, tension, slammed doors, and shifting tones long before you learn multiplication tables. While other children are learning how to play, you are learning how to survive. So yes, you become wise, You become perceptive. You become the one everyone turns to because you just get it. But the truth is harsher than anyone admits. That wisdom was not earned through gentle experience. It was extracted from moments that should have been soft, forced out of you long before you had the strength to carry it. This is why people who seem grounded often carry an invisible ache. They did not choose to grow up fast. Life pushed them into adulthood and closed the door behind them. Their maturity is real, but so is the grief beneath it. The grief of someone who learned everything too early and lost pieces of childhood they can never get back. And this grief leads directly to the third pattern. Long before most people learn who they are, some children learn something else first. How to stay safe. Not because danger was constant, but because unpredictability was. And unpredictability rewires the brain in ways no classroom ever could. When someone grows up in an environment where emotions shift suddenly, where silence can mean trouble, or where caregivers are inconsistent, the nervous system adapts by becoming hyper-aware. Not curious, alert, always scanning for the next shift. Here is what happens inside the brain. The amygdala, your internal alarm system, becomes overactive. It starts firing not only at real threats, but at possible ones, imagined ones, remembered ones. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, responsible for calm reasoning, has to work overtime and eventually exhaust itself. The body stays locked in anticipatory mode, constantly scanning micro-expressions, tone changes, and energy shifts in every room. This is why so many survivors of emotional overload notice everything. Too much of everything. Why they replay conversations trying to decode hidden meanings. Why they feel a room's tension before anyone else realizes something is wrong. Why a slight change in someone's voice can send their heart into quiet alarm. To outsiders, it looks like intuition. To psychologists, it is called hypervigilance. To the person living it, it is simply the way their brain learned to survive. And here is the painful truth. The very skills that kept them safe back then, reading danger, anticipating conflict, bracing for impact, now activate even in moments that are completely safe. They know how to sense storms even in sunny weather. Their brain did not become too sensitive. It became too prepared. A survival masterpiece built under pressure. Still running its protective program in a world where the original threat no longer exists. But this survival programming created something unexpected. People who have been through too much carry a set of abilities they never asked for. A silent curriculum life taught them long before they knew it had a name. Not the kind of skills you list on a resume, but the kind that shape how you move through every room you enter. They know how to read silence. Not just the absence of words, but the texture of it. Whether it is heavy, disappointed, irritated, or simply tired. They sense changes in atmosphere the way others sense changes in weather. A subtle drop in tone, a shift in posture, a breath held too long. Most people walk into a room and see furniture. Survivors walk in and see emotional temperature. They know how to spot tension before a single word is spoken. They know when someone is pretending to be okay. They know when a conversation is about to tilt into conflict. They know when kindness is real and when it is performative, and perhaps the most invisible skill of all. They know how to shrink themselves in the exact moments when attention feels dangerous. How to make their presence lighter, softer, quieter. A reflex born from years of learning that being too visible can come with consequences. None of these skills feel special to them. To them, it is simply survival muscle memory. The emotional reflexes of someone who learned to keep the peace, sense danger early, and protect their own heart without making a sound. These are not personality traits. They are adaptations. Living proof of how profoundly life shapes a person, even when no one else notices, if you recognize yourself in these patterns. I am curious. Where are you watching this from right now? Let me know in the comments. United States, Canada, Australia, Philippines, or somewhere else entirely. Your presence here matters more than you know. Now, there is a fifth pattern that ties everything together, and it reveals something most people are afraid to admit. Love is supposed to feel warm, grounding, expansive, but for people who have carried too much for too long, love often feels like something else entirely. A risk. A beautiful one, but still a risk, not because they do not want closeness, but because closeness has historically come with consequences when your early experiences taught you that connection can be unpredictable. Your nervous system does not relax when someone gets close. It braces. Some develop what psychologists call avoidant attachment. They care deeply, but distance feels safer. They pull back not out of disinterest, but out of self-preservation. Love becomes something they feel intensely but express cautiously. Others develop anxious attachment. Their heart senses danger even when love is steady. A delayed text, a softer tone, a changed rhythm. All of it can feel like abandonment approaching. Not because the partner is unsafe, but because the nervous system has memorized instability and expects it to return. And some carry a mix of both, a longing and a fear wrapped together. They crave intimacy, yet flinch when they receive it. They want to be held, but worry that the moment they relax, something will break. To them, love is not a simple emotion. It is a psychological contradiction. I want this, but I do not know how to feel safe inside it. This is why they overthink the good moments. Why they rehearse painful outcomes before anything goes wrong. Why they apologize too quickly, forgive too easily, and doubt their worth even when someone chooses them wholeheartedly. They are not afraid of love itself. They are afraid of losing themselves inside it. Afraid that history will repeat. That closeness will cost them more than they can afford to give. If this resonates with you, type 1 in the comments if you lean toward pulling away when things get close. Type 2 if you tend to hold on tighter when you sense distance. Or type 3 if you feel both at different times. There is no wrong answer here, only recognition. But here is something that connects all 5 patterns. Emotional exhaustion does not announce itself. There is no dramatic collapse, no scene, no warning. It shows up quietly in what I call the slow fade. At first, you are still present. You still smile, still respond, still show up. But something begins to dim inside you. Your laughter becomes softer, your words shorter, your presence lighter, as if you are trying not to take up too much space. You do not withdraw all at once. You drift, gently, silently. Not because you do not care, but because caring has become heavy. Even simple conversations feel like effort. Even small decisions feel like weight. Rest does not fix it. Sleep does not touch it. and distractions only mute it for a moment. To others, it looks like you are just busy or quiet lately. But beneath the surface, your mind is carrying things it has never put down. The emotional labor of years, staying strong, holding peace, reading rooms, tending to others while neglecting yourself. So you fade in the only way someone who has been strong for too long knows how. Slowly, discreetly, without alarming anyone. And when someone asks if you are okay, you say, "I am fine." Not because it is true, but because explaining the exhaustion would require energy you no longer have. And this leads to the cruelest paradox of all. The strongest people are often the most fragile when they are finally alone. In front of others, they are steady. The rock, the one who listens without judgment, the one who holds space for everyone else's falling apart. But the moment the door closes, something shifts. The mask comes off, the shoulders drop, and suddenly, the person who seemed unshakable becomes the one who cannot stop shaking. This is not weakness. This is delayed release. The emotional bill that comes due when there is finally no one watching. People who have survived too much carry a secret exhaustion. They know how to be strong for others, but they have forgotten how to be soft for themselves. They have spent so many years being the pillar that they no longer know how to ask to be held. And here is the cruel irony. The more capable they appear, the less anyone thinks to check on them. The more they hold together in public, the more they fall apart in private. The paradox of strength is not a flaw. It is the result of learning that vulnerability was never safe. There is a kind of grief that rarely gets acknowledged. Not the grief of losing someone else, but the grief of losing yourself. Not all at once, but slowly, quietly. Over years of surviving, people who have been through too much often carry this invisible mourning. They grieve the version of themselves who trusted easily, the version who laughed without checking the room first, the version who did not rehearse conversations, who did not anticipate danger, who did not analyze every silence as a warning. They grieve the self that felt light, the self that did not worry about being too much or not enough, the self that moved through the world without tightening their chest at every uncertainty. And yet, this grief almost never gets spoken aloud. How do you explain that you miss a version of yourself you barely remember? How do you tell someone that you are homesick for a place that existed only inside your own mind? This grief does not break you. It shapes you. It makes you quieter, more observant, more intentional. It turns you into someone who cherishes peace because you know the cost of chaos. And here is the most human truth. Healing is not just about becoming someone new. It is also about grieving the selves you had to leave behind. The selves who protected you even when the world did not. Healing does not begin with forcing yourself to be stronger. It begins with understanding that your brain has been in survival mode for far longer than it was ever meant to be. Survival mode is brilliant. It protects you, sharpens you, prepares you. But it is not meant to be a permanent home. The first step is awareness. Not judgment, not blame, just noticing. Noticing when your chest tightens after a harmless text. Noticing when you rehearse outcomes that have not happened. Noticing when your body reacts before your mind understands why. Awareness turns unconscious survival patterns into something you can gently work with. The second step is regulation. Learning to calm the survival brain through the body, not the mind. Because the mind can understand safety long before the nervous system believes it. This is where grounding, slow breathing, and somatic exercises become powerful tools. Regulation is not relaxing. It is teaching your body to return from the edge. The third step is boundaries. Learning that you are allowed to protect your peace without apologizing for it. That you can say no without explanation. That you can choose who gets access to your energy. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters that let the right things in and keep the harmful things out. The fourth step is building safe connections. Slowly, intentionally. With people who feel safe rather than just familiar. Your survival brain learned relationships through threat and instability. Healing teaches it to experience relationships through consistency and care. And here is the most hopeful truth. Your brain is not stuck. Neuroplasticity means it can adapt again. This time, not for survival, but for peace. Not to brace, but to breathe. Not to endure, but to finally live. There comes a moment, quiet, almost unremarkable, when you begin to realize that everything you survived has shaped you into someone with uncommon depth. Not because your life was gentle, but because you learned to navigate storms that would have broken others, and without even noticing, you became something rare. A lighthouse. A lighthouse does not shine because it is perfect. It shines because it remembers the darkness. It knows what it is like to feel lost, overwhelmed, unsure of the next step. And that memory becomes its guidance. People who have been through too much often become that steady presence for others. The calm voice, the patient listener, the person who understands without needing every detail explained. Your survival became insight. Your pain became compassion. Your reflection became wisdom. And now you are learning something even more powerful. That your life no longer has to be about enduring. It can be about creating. Creating gentleness. Creating connection. Creating a future softer than your past. You are not broken. You never were. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are someone who has been shaped by fire and still chose to be soft. Someone who learned the language of pain and translated it into empathy. If this spoke to you, if you felt seen, understood, or less alone while listening, I would love for you to stay. Subscribe so you do not miss the next chapter. And share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might be the light someone else has been searching for.